This is the fourth presentation on the series of presentations about China's geography. My name is Sean Han, I'm in Class 8 of Whittle School and Studio, Shenzhen, and today we're talking about the major climates and distributions of China. So firstly, we're going to do a quick overview of the major climates and distributions of China. Then we'll move and talk about the continental and seasonal parts, which are just the two main types. We have the north part, the central part, and the southern part of China, and we'll talk about their climates. Firstly, this is a map of the climates of China. It's pretty inaccurate, but it is the best that we can get. There's a lot that we can actually learn from this place as well too. Mainly, as you can see, the green being the coldest and red being the hottest, we find areas of cold and chilled and pretty much every type of temperature inside China as well too. Most of the areas have 4 seasons. However, there are extreme places as well too. In the northern part and the northeastern part, it's kind of frigid. In fact, the winters are probably longer than the rest of China. And in the central part, we get places where there is the 4 seasons, and depending on the location of the place, it goes ahead and determines whether your summer or your winter is long, or your spring or autumn is long. And then we have the southern part, which is basically where I am. And in this part, it barely has the 4 seasons. In fact, it's a tropical area, or a subtropical area. And it has 4 seasons. Nope, it acts a lot like summer all year long. And China itself is a continental monsoon area, mainly because it literally has a coast touching the ocean, and it's being in the typhoon zone as well too. The monsoons themselves are actually sort of useful at times, because they go ahead and, if not destroy their crops, at least give them too much nutrition. And if we go ahead and talk about the continental and seasonal parts, most of the parts of China, as you can see, they're in the temperate zone. Like right here, most of China is in the temperate zone, which is like this northern part. It's only this little bottom part that's a little bit out of the outlier. While these southern areas are primarily in the tropical or the subtropical zones. And the northern areas are usually in frigid zones. Now, the northern part, including areas like Inner Mongolia and Xinjiang, this area over here, it's pretty dry as well too. But specifically in the northeastern part, we basically get places like Harbin. We get fresh, brief summers. They're fresh, they're brief, but they're also kind of fresh. And then we also have long, rough winters in these areas as well too. Northern China, we have Beijing, and it's short but magnificent. And the spring and the autumn actually works out pretty well there as well too. Like the area of Beijing, it has spring and autumn, which is pretty good, and it's really, really, really enjoyable. But then the winter and the summer, they're also kind of unpleasant. Now, if we go ahead and talk about the central area, this part is mainly the agricultural center of China. And it's along the Yangtze River, like Wuhan, and the 4 seasons themselves are well established. They're kind of balanced, but depending on where in the central part you are, your spring can be longer than your summer, or the vice versa. Including autumn becoming longer than winter and the vice versa, or maybe spring and autumn both being a short winter. Yeah, I think you get my point. It's also this part that includes a city that is also known as the Furnaces of China. The Furnace of China. One of the Furnaces of China. In fact, there are 4 of them in total, but you're gonna have to go find out what those 4 are yourselves. And finally, we have the southern part. Now, the southern part themselves, it actually has mild, wet winters, and it has very hot and very rainy summers. It's on the fringes of Yunnan, Guangxi, Guangdong, and Hainan Islands, and they're all pretty much tropical. Unlike this place, which is more or less like the central part. Here are the key points from my lecture. So, as an overview, we talked about the topography and the climates of the most major climate types and distributions in China. They're all diverse. There's a variety of temperatures, and in the critical monsoon areas, summer's hot and rainy, while the winters are mostly cold and dry. In the continental and seasonal, most parts are in temperate zone, southern area, or are in the tropical or subtropical zones. In the northern areas, it's always in the frigid zone. Dry Inner Mongolia and Xinjiang. Northeast, Harbin, brief fresh summer, long rough winter. And in the northern China, we also get Beijing, which also has short but magnificent springs and autumn. Next, we have central. Now, the central part of China, it's the agricultural center of it. It's a season it's well established, and it's one of the places where considered one of the furnaces of China. It's along the eastern coastal region. In the south, we have the subtropical places with mild and wet winters and hot rainy summers. And in the tropical areas, the fringes of the South Yunnan and Guangxi, Guangdong, and Hainan Islands are all in the tropical areas of China. And so thank you for watching this presentation on the major climate types and distributions in China, and I'll see you guys in the next one.